Amelia Harper was a woman whose elegance was as natural as her thriving career in the fashion world. Her residence, a restored townhouse in the city's core, reflected her flawless taste, contemporary yet inviting, with a subtle air of refinement that mirrored her own. It was in the haven of her bedroom, with its lofty ceilings and gentle, warm lighting, that she indulged in her most personal ritual. Organizing her collection of intimate apparel, each garment was a masterpiece, a fusion of silk, lace, and satin in shades that spanned from the softest ivory to the richest ebony. Amelia's fingers glided over the materials, her touch as delicate as if she were tracing the contours of a cherished companion. It was a private, almost reverent moment, a time to savor the beauty that adorned her body as much as it enriched her spirit. But tonight, something was off. Her treasured piece, a silk chemise with intricate French lace trim, was missing. Amelia's brow creased, a faint line of concern disrupting her serene expression. She reassured herself it was merely misplaced, perhaps lost in the wash or hidden in an overlooked corner of her wardrobe. Yet, as she continued her inspection, more absences emerged in her carefully curated collection. A sense of disquiet prickled at the nape of her neck, urging Amelia to search with purpose. Drawers were opened and shut with growing urgency, the whisper of fabrics a quiet accompaniment to her mounting unease. She explored every conceivable hiding spot in her room, the soft glow of her bedside lamp casting elongated shadows that seemed to taunt her efforts. The realization that her lingerie had not been misplaced, but intentionally taken hit her like a physical shock. The air in her room, once scented with her favored lavender fragrance, now felt heavy, the silence suffocating. Amelia's mind raced. Who could commit such an invasion of her personal space? The answer struck her with a mother's intuition, piercing through the haze of disbelief. There was only one other person in her home with unrestricted access to her private quarters, her son, Ethan. Ethan, with his reserved nature and scholarly tendencies, had always been close to his mother. They shared a deep bond, or so Amelia had believed, a united front against the world since Ethan's father had abandoned them when he was young. The notion that he could violate her trust in such an intimate way was unthinkable. Yet the evidence of her missing garments was undeniable. With a heavy heart, Amelia approached Ethan's room. The door, typically ajar, now felt like a boundary she hesitated to breach. She knocked softly, the sound resonating in the quiet corridor. No response came, and after a moment's pause, she turned the knob and stepped inside. The room was a typical young man's domain, adorned with posters of indie bands and piles of academic books. But the meticulous orderliness, that was uncharacteristic of Ethan. It was as if he were striving to project normalcy, a veneer to conceal his hidden actions. Amelia neared the bed, her hands trembling as she reached beneath it. Her fingers grazed something soft and silken, the unmistakable texture of her missing lingerie. With a sigh that bordered on a sob, she retrieved the chemise, along with other pilfered pieces, the fabrics slipping through her fingers like fleeting memories, signaling the end of innocence. The burden of disappointment settled heavily in her chest, a cold ache radiating through her. Amelia sat there for a long time, surrounded by the proof of her son's betrayal. The city lights outside casting an ethereal glow on the scene of her discovery. In the quiet of the night, Amelia knew their lives would never be the same. The fragile threads of their relationship had been irreversibly altered, and as she clutched the stolen lingerie to her heart, she wondered how they could ever reconnect. The confrontation would come, but for now, Amelia allowed herself to grieve the loss of the trust and simplicity that had once defined her bond with Ethan. The path to understanding and reconciliation would be long and laden with intricate emotions, but it was a journey they would need to undertake together. The night had been sleepless for Amelia, her mind a storm of emotions as she wrestled with the revelation of Ethan's secret. The lingerie, now a symbol of the rift between them, lay in a silent pile on her bed, a stark reminder of her son's hidden desires. As the first light of dawn filtered through the curtains, casting a gentle glow over the collection, Amelia found herself deep in reflection. The initial shock and pain had given way to a profound concern. Ethan was her son, her flesh and blood, and she knew she could not ignore the vulnerability he had unwittingly exposed. Amelia recognized that beneath the act of theft lay a plea for understanding, a silent cry that she, as a mother, could not disregard. She knew the road ahead would be complex, but her love for Ethan was unwavering. It was this love that drove her to consider an unconventional approach. With a resolve that was both daunting and freeing, Amelia made her way to Ethan's room. The door was slightly open, and she could see him seated on the edge of his bed, his posture heavy with resignation. She knocked gently, and he looked up, his eyes red from a night of guilt-ridden sleeplessness. "Ethan," Amelia began, her voice steady despite the fluttering in her chest. "I found my lingerie." There was no room for denial. The evidence was irrefutable. Ethan's face was a mask of shame, but beneath it flickered a trace of relief. The secret he had borne was now exposed, and there was an odd sense of release in its unveiling. Amelia sat beside him, the distance between them feeling both immense and trivial. "I want to understand," she said softly, "why you did this." Her words lingered, an offer of reconciliation extended to bridge the divide that had formed. Ethan's confession came haltingly at first, as he struggled to voice emotions that were as perplexing to him as they were to his mother. He spoke of isolation, of yearning for connection in a world that often felt distant and unyielding. He described the softness of the fabrics as a solace, a way to feel close to the mother he revered. It was a naive and misguided attempt to fill an emotional void, but it was heartfelt. Amelia listened, her heart aching for the young man before her. She saw the fragility behind his composed exterior, the vulnerability that belied his 20 years. In that moment, she made a decision that defied convention, but honored the unspoken bond between mother and child. "Ethan, I can't condone stealing, but I can offer a compromise," she said, her hand reaching to cover his. "You can have access to my lingerie, but there are conditions. You must never take anything without permission, and we will address this need of yours together." The astonishment in Ethan's eyes quickly gave way to gratitude. The offer was more than he had dared hope for, and the relief that washed over him was tangible. Amelia's terms were firm but fair, a lifeline extended in the midst of a turbulent sea. They agreed that Ethan would seek professional guidance to understand and manage his urges. In the meantime, Amelia would permit him to select pieces from her collection, with the understanding that this was a gesture of love and trust, not an endorsement of inappropriate behavior. As they reached this unconventional agreement, the tension in the room eased, replaced by a newfound understanding. Amelia's decision was a testament to her strength as a mother and her steadfast commitment to her son's well-being. In the days that followed, their relationship entered a new phase, one of open dialogue and mutual respect. The boundaries were clear, and while the path ahead was uncertain, they were determined to navigate it together, with compassion and empathy as their guide. The lingerie, once a source of secrecy and shame, now stood as a symbol of honesty and acceptance. It was a delicate balance, but in the Harper household, love had proven to be the most potent force of all. In the wake of their unspoken pact, a subtle shift occurred within the Harper household. Amelia, ever the devoted mother, found herself walking a fine line between nurturing and enticing. The boundaries of their relationship now blurred by recent revelations. She was keenly aware of Ethan's lingering glances, the way his eyes followed her movements, tinged with a blend of longing and confusion. Amelia knew her actions could either ease his turmoil or fuel his fixation. It was a delicate dance, requiring finesse and an understanding of the fragile balance they were navigating. With a renewed sense of purpose, Amelia began to test the waters of their agreement. She moved through the house with heightened awareness of her presence, the way her silk robes hugged her curves, or how the morning light danced across her skin. It was a deliberate choice to embrace her sensuality, to reclaim the power of her femininity that had been overshadowed by maternal duties. One morning, as Ethan sat at the kitchen table, immersed in his studies, Amelia entered wearing a fitted blouse that accentuated her figure. She moved with purposeful grace, reaching for a cup in the cabinet. The motion caused her to lean slightly, the hem of her blouse lifting to reveal a glimpse of her lower back. Ethan's breath hitched, his eyes inadvertently drawn to the exposed skin. He quickly looked away, a flush creeping up his neck, but not before Amelia caught the spark of desire in his gaze. It was a fleeting moment, but it spoke volumes about the tension simmering beneath their interactions. Later that day, as they passed in the narrow hallway, Amelia allowed her arm to brush against Ethan's chest, feigning surprise at the brief contact. The sensation sent a shiver through her, a reminder of the potent chemistry that now charged their encounters. Ethan mumbled an apology, his voice barely audible, but Amelia simply smiled and continued on her way. She could feel his eyes on her, the weight of his gaze like a tangible touch that left her both exhilarated and slightly unsettled. In the evenings, as they sat together in the living room, she with a novel, he with his laptop, Amelia would cross and uncross her legs, the motion causing her skirt to inch up her thighs. She was careful not to overtly acknowledge the effect her actions had on Ethan, but she sensed the shift in the air, the undercurrent of electricity humming between them. It was a risky game they were playing, a dance of subtle seduction that could easily spiral out of control. Amelia knew she was treading a tightrope, balancing between the roles of mother and allure. But in her heart, she believed this was a necessary step in Ethan's journey towards self-awareness and emotional maturity. By presenting herself as both a source of comfort and desire, Amelia was teaching Ethan to navigate his complex feelings, how to appreciate the allure of the female form without acting on his impulses. It was a lesson in restraint, in channeling his urges into something constructive and affirming. As the days turned into weeks, their relationship found a new rhythm. The teasing glances and incidental touches became a silent language, a way of communicating the depth of their bond and the unspoken rules now governing their interactions. Amelia remained vigilant, monitoring Ethan's reactions and ensuring the boundaries they had set were upheld. She was his mother first and foremost, and her primary concern was his growth and well-being. But in quiet moments, when it was just the two of them, Amelia couldn't deny the thrill of knowing she held such sway over her son's imagination. It was a heady blend of love, responsibility, and undeniable feminine pride that sustained her as they continued to navigate the intricacies of their evolving relationship. The air was charged with an unspoken playfulness that skirted the edges of propriety. A game of pursuit and retreat that was as exhilarating as it was perilous. Amelia, careful not to cross any lines, allowed herself to indulge in the subtle flirtation that had become their private code. She found a strange comfort in the way Ethan's eyes lit up at one of her teasing remarks, a warmth that filled the void left by years of emotional distance. One sunny afternoon, Amelia tackled the routine task of laundry. The washing machine sat in a small nook off the kitchen, its sleek surface glinting in the sunlight streaming through the window. She gathered a bundle of clothes, a mix of her own and Ethan's, and began loading them into the machine. As she bent to adjust the settings, she was acutely aware of the snug fit of her jeans, the fabric stretching across her hips. She heard the soft creak of the floorboards behind her and knew, without looking, that Ethan had entered the room. "Need a hand with that?" he asked, his voice laced with a playful note that had grown more pronounced in recent days. Amelia glanced over her shoulder, offering a coy smile. "I think I've got it, but thanks for the offer." Ethan leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed casually. "I'm sure you do, but where's the fun in doing it all alone?" The innuendo was subtle but clear, lingering in the air. Amelia felt a flush rise to her cheeks, a mix of amusement and awareness at his boldness. She straightened, hands on her hips, and turned to face him. "Well, if you're so keen to help, maybe you could handle the detergent," she said, tossing him a pod with a challenging glint in her eyes. Ethan caught it deftly, his fingers grazing hers in the process. The brief contact sent a ripple of awareness through them both. He stepped closer, his gaze locked on hers as he dropped the pod into the washer. "Like this?" he asked, his tone teasing. "Exactly like that," Amelia replied, her voice slightly husky. She added a playful wink, enjoying the way his eyes widened in response. They stood there for a moment, the hum of the washing machine filling the silence, as they absorbed the new normal of their interaction. It was a delicate balance, the push and pull of their roles as mother and son intertwined with an undercurrent of something more potent. Amelia turned back to the machine, adding a few more items. As she leaned in, she could feel Ethan's gaze, drinking in the sight of her curves, accentuated by the bending motion. "You know, it's not every day you see someone make laundry look that good," Ethan remarked, his voice warm with admiration. Amelia laughed, the sound rich and inviting. "Well, I do try to keep things interesting," she said, casting him a sidelong glance. Their banter continued, a back and forth that was both innocent and layered with subtext. They danced around their desires, each comment and look a careful exploration of the boundaries they had established. As they moved about the kitchen, preparing lunch together, the tension between them simmered just below the surface. They shared jokes and knowing glances, the air charged with an energy that was both thrilling and slightly dangerous. Amelia was acutely aware of the shift in their relationship, the way they had learned to communicate not just with words, but with their bodies, with the space between them. It was a game of temptation and restraint, a test of their wills and the strength of their bond. In the end, it was this delicate interplay of desire and domesticity that defined their days. The Harper household had become a stage for their private performances, a place where the lines between familial affection and something deeper were constantly redrawn. And as Amelia closed the lid of the washing machine, the rhythmic thumping of the cycle echoing the beating of her heart, she knew they were venturing into uncharted territory. Together, they were redefining the rules of their relationship, navigating the complexities of their emotions with a mixture of trepidation and exhilaration. The washing machine churned away, a metaphor for the churning of their own feelings. As Amelia and Ethan continued their dance on the edge of temptation, each step a testament to the unbreakable bond they shared, and the unspoken promise to handle their evolving desires with care and respect. It was late afternoon when the next pivotal moment occurred. Ethan, lost in thought, had returned home from university earlier than expected. The house was quiet, the only sounds the gentle hum of the heating system and the occasional creak of the old wooden floors. He headed to his room, intending to drop off his bag and change out of his formal classroom attire. As he passed the bathroom, he noticed the door slightly ajar, a wisp of steam escaping into the hallway. Without thinking, he pushed the door open, his mind preoccupied with the day's events. The sight that greeted him was one that would be etched into his memory forever. Through the fogged glass of the shower enclosure, he could make out the silhouette of his mother, her form bathed in the soft, warm light of the bathroom. The water cascaded down her curves, tracing her contours with an intimate touch. Amelia, startled by the sudden intrusion, let out a gasp of surprise. Her hands instinctively moved to cover herself, but it was too late. The image of her, vulnerable and radiant, had already imprinted itself on Ethan's mind. "Ethan, what are you doing?" Amelia's voice was a mix of shock and reproach, her heart racing from the unexpected encounter. Ethan stood frozen in the doorway, his eyes wide with a blend of guilt and desire. I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't know you were in here," he stammered, his gaze dropping to the floor in an attempt to offer her some privacy. Amelia's initial shock quickly gave way to a calm resolve. She had always prided herself on handling difficult situations with grace, and this moment would be no exception. "It's all right, Ethan. Just give me a moment to finish," she said, her voice steady despite the rapid beating of her heart. Ethan nodded, backing out of the bathroom and closing the door. He retreated to his room, his mind a whirlwind of emotions. The image of Amelia in the shower was a powerful lure, one he knew he must resist at all costs. Meanwhile, Amelia finished her shower, her thoughts racing as she considered the implications of what had just happened. She wrapped herself in a towel, her reflection in the mirror a testament to her composure. She knew they needed to address this incident directly to ensure the boundaries of their relationship remained intact. With a deep breath, Amelia made her way to Ethan's room. She knocked softly, pushing the door open when she heard his muffled response. Ethan was sitting on the edge of his bed, his head in his hands, the picture of remorse. "Ethan, we need to talk about what just happened," Amelia began, her tone gentle but firm. She sat beside him, the dampness of her hair leaving a trail of water droplets on her shoulders. Ethan looked up at her, his eyes filled with shame and an unspoken yearning. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I didn't mean to." His words were cut short as Amelia's gaze inadvertently drifted to the front of his pants, where the evidence of his arousal was unmistakable. The sight sent a jolt through her, a visceral reminder of the delicate tightrope they were walking. For a moment, neither spoke, the air thick with tension and unanswered questions. Amelia knew this was a critical moment, one that required both honesty and sensitivity. "Ethan," she said softly, her hand gently touching his arm, "I know this is hard for you, but we can't let these moments control us. We have to be stronger than our impulses." Ethan nodded, his gaze fixed on the floor. "I know, Mom, I'm trying. It's so difficult sometimes." Amelia squeezed his arm reassuringly. "I understand more than you realize, but we have to maintain our respect for each other, for our relationship. What we're feeling. It's natural to have these emotions, but we can't act on them. Do you understand?" "Yes, Mom, I understand," Ethan replied, his voice barely above a whisper. He appreciated Amelia's candor, her willingness to address the issue without judgment or anger. They sat in silence, the weight of the moment settling over them. Amelia's presence, her nearness, was both a comfort and a temptation, but she remained steadfast in her resolve to guide Ethan through this turbulent period. As she stood to leave, Amelia offered Ethan a small, encouraging smile. "We'll get through this together." That's what families do. They face challenges head-on, with love and understanding. With those words, she left the room, leaving Ethan to process the day's events. The encounter had been a stark reminder of the delicate balance they were striving to maintain, a balance between desire and responsibility, between the forbidden and the familial. In the days that followed, Amelia and Ethan continued to navigate the complexities of their relationship, each step forward a testament to their strength and the unbreakable bond they shared. The road ahead would not be easy, but they were committed to facing it with honesty, respect, and an unwavering commitment to each other. She approached Ethan one evening as he sat in the soft glow of his desk lamp, the furrow in his brow a clear sign of his inner turmoil. Amelia's heart ached with a mix of empathy and resolve as she perched on the edge of his bed, her presence a silent vow of support. "Ethan," she began, her voice a gentle whisper that filled the room, "it's clear you're grappling with something deeply personal. I want you to know you don't have to face it alone." He turned to her, his eyes searching hers for reassurance. Amelia reached out, her hand bridging the space between them, offering comfort and solidarity. "I believe it's time we explore ways for you to embrace and understand your own nature, in a manner that's healthy and affirming." A flicker of surprise and a glimmer of hope crossed Ethan's face. "I'm not sure what that means, Mom, but I trust you." Amelia's heart swelled with purpose. "We'll start slowly, with resources that can guide you through this process. And I'll be here to answer any questions and help you navigate these new experiences." As she left his room, the air seemed to hum with the promise of a new chapter in their journey together, one that would bring them closer than ever before. Days later, Amelia found Ethan engrossed in the materials she had provided, his focus a testament to his commitment to self-understanding. She approached him with a gentle inquiry, her presence a comforting constant in his world of new discoveries. "These books offer a wealth of knowledge," she said, taking a seat beside him. "Is there anything you'd like to discuss? Any thoughts or feelings you'd like to share?" Ethan hesitated, his vulnerability evident in the quiet space between them. "I'm finding it hard to reconcile certain desires. I worry they're inappropriate." Amelia offered a reassuring smile, her hand a warm weight on his. "It's normal to have complex emotions, especially toward those we care about deeply. What's important is how we manage those feelings, acknowledging them without letting them dictate our actions." Their conversation flowed with an ease born of mutual trust, each word a step toward greater intimacy and understanding. As the weeks passed, Amelia sensed Ethan was ready to apply the knowledge he had gained. One evening, as they sat together in the dimly lit living room, she broached the subject with characteristic grace. "When you feel prepared to explore these aspects of yourself, I want you to know I'm here to support you," she said, her voice a soothing balm in the stillness. "You have a right to privacy and self-discovery, and I'll ensure you have the space and comfort you need." Ethan nodded, a newfound determination in his eyes. "I feel ready, Mom, and I'm grateful for your guidance." Together, they prepared a tranquil environment in his room, a sanctuary where he could retreat and connect with his inner self. Amelia's role was to be a steadfast presence just outside his door, a guardian of his personal journey. When Ethan finally emerged, the transformation was subtle yet profound. He carried himself with a quiet confidence, the shadows of doubt and uncertainty no longer clouding his features. They shared a quiet moment in the kitchen over cups of warm tea, the bond between them deepened by the trust they had placed in each other. Amelia's pride in her son was evident in her warm smile, and the tender way she listened as he spoke of his newfound sense of peace. "I'm here for you, Ethan, through every step of your path," she affirmed, her words wrapping around him like a comforting embrace. As they each retired to their rooms for the night, Amelia and Ethan were acutely aware of the profound connection they shared. A connection forged in the fires of vulnerability and emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. They were allies in a journey of self-discovery and emotional growth, their love for each other the guiding light on the path ahead. In the evolving dance of their relationship, Amelia and Ethan found themselves on a journey of intimate exploration that transcended the conventional boundaries of their mother-son bond. The Harper household became a sanctuary for a deeply personal quest, a shared endeavor to understand Amelia's body and the intricacies of her physiology. Their pursuit began with quiet conversations, often held in the soft glow of the living room lamplight, where they discussed the complexities of human anatomy and the nuances of female sexuality. Amelia, with her characteristic grace and openness, aimed to demystify her own body for Ethan, providing insights that were both educational and profoundly intimate. One evening, as they sat beside each other on the plush sofa, Amelia opened a book on the subject, its pages filled with diagrams and detailed explanations. She pointed to various illustrations, her voice steady as she described the functions and sensitivities of each part of her anatomy. Ethan listened intently, absorbing every word, every nuance of her instruction. His curiosity was genuine, driven by a desire to understand Amelia not just as his mother, but as a woman in her entirety. May I touch to understand better?" Ethan asked tentatively, his gaze fixed on the open pages of the book. Amelia considered his request, recognizing the importance of this moment. She nodded, her eyes meeting his with quiet reassurance. "Yes, but remember, this is about learning and respect. We must always handle this exploration with care." With a mixture of reverence and scientific curiosity, Ethan reached out, his fingers lightly tracing the outlines of the illustrations in the book. Amelia guided his hand, helping him visualize the internal structures and their respective functions. The atmosphere in the room was charged with a profound sense of trust and vulnerability. This was uncharted territory for both, yet they navigated it with a shared commitment to understanding and mutual respect. As the weeks progressed, their exploration expanded beyond literature and two-dimensional diagrams. Amelia, in her role as both guide and subject, agreed to allow Ethan to observe her body firsthand, to appreciate the beauty and complexity of the female form through direct experience. They arranged a private session in the comfort and safety of Amelia's bedroom. The room was bathed in warm, ambient light, casting a gentle glow on Amelia's skin as she lay on the bed. A silk robe draped loosely over her body. Ethan sat beside her, his expression one of focused concentration. With Amelia's guidance, he carefully examined the external manifestations of her internal anatomy, his touch feather-light and respectful as he sought to comprehend the physical aspects of her sexuality. Amelia communicated openly throughout the process, describing her sensations and experiences, providing Ethan with an intimate education that was both enlightening and deeply personal. Their shared exploration was a revelation for both mother and son. For Ethan, it was an opportunity to shed preconceived notions and embrace a more nuanced understanding of the female body. For Amelia, it was a profound act of generosity and trust, allowing her to impart valuable knowledge while fostering a deeper connection with her son. As they concluded their intimate research, they each felt a sense of fulfillment and awe at the journey they had undertaken. The bond they shared had deepened, rooted in mutual respect and a shared appreciation for the wonders of the human body. In the quiet aftermath, as they sat across from each other at the kitchen table, the air between them was suffused with unspoken gratitude. They spoke softly of their experience, the conversation a testament to the trust and understanding that now defined their relationship. Amelia reached out, her hand covering Ethan's, her eyes reflecting the depth of her affection. "This has been quite the journey, hasn't it?" Ethan nodded, his gaze filled with admiration and tenderness. "It's something I'll never forget, Mom. I can't thank you enough for sharing this with me." As they each retired to their rooms that night, the Harper household settled into a peaceful silence. The intimacy Amelia and Ethan had cultivated through their shared exploration had transformed their relationship, creating a bond that was as unique as it was profound. In the sanctity of their home, they had ventured beyond the conventional, embracing a path of knowledge and connection that would forever shape their understanding of each other and the complexities of human intimacy. As the days turned into weeks, the Harper household was alive with the quiet hum of transformation. Amelia and Ethan had ventured into realms of intimacy few mother-son pairs dared to explore. Yet they had maintained a delicate balance of respect and affection. Their shared journey of understanding and self-discovery had brought them closer than ever, weaving a tapestry of connection that was as intricate as it was profound. It was a connection that transcended the physical, rooted deeply in mutual trust and unconditional love. In the stillness of the evening, they often found themselves in the living room, the only light coming from the flickering flames of the fireplace. During these moments of quiet reflection, they would talk about everything and nothing, dreams for the future, reflections on the past, and the curious alchemy that had led them to this point. Amelia watched Ethan grow into a thoughtful and sensitive young man, his insights and empathy expanding daily. She marveled at the strength of his character and the depth of his compassion, qualities she had helped nurture. One night, as they sat side by side, the silence between them comfortable and familiar, Ethan turned to Amelia with a thoughtful expression. "Mom, I've been thinking a lot about everything we've shared, and I just wanted to say, thank you." Amelia's heart swelled with pride and affection. "Thank you, Ethan. Thank you for being open, for being brave, and for trusting me to be part of your journey." Their conversation drifted toward the future, Ethan's aspirations, the adventures ahead, and how their relationship might evolve. It was a conversation filled with hope and the promise of new beginnings. As the night drew to a close, they each felt a sense of completion, as if the chapter of their lives marked by internal struggle and discovery was gently closing. They were ready to turn the page, to embrace whatever came next with grace and resolve. In the sanctity of their shared space, they allowed themselves to simply be mother and son, teacher and student, kindred spirits navigating life's myriad challenges and triumphs. When it came time to say goodnight, they lingered in the hallway, neither wanting to break the spell of their connection. Amelia reached out, her hand gently caressing Ethan's cheek. "I love you, Ethan. No matter what the future holds, that will never change." Ethan's response was immediate and heartfelt, I love you too, Mom, more than I'll ever be able to express. They shared a final, knowing look before retreating to their rooms. The night wrapped around the Harper household like a protective shroud, safeguarding the treasures within treasures of love, understanding, and a bond that was as rare as it was beautiful. Time passed, and the bond between Amelia and Ethan continued to evolve. Their connection, once fraught with the complexities of unspoken desires, had matured into a profound mutual understanding and respect. The challenges they faced together had forged an even deeper appreciation for the unique nature of their relationship. As spring gently unfurled its blossoms, bringing the promise of renewal, Amelia and Ethan found themselves at a crossroads. The intense period of self-discovery and emotional exploration had reached a natural conclusion, giving way to a season of quiet contentment and reflection. One balmy afternoon, as they sat together on the back porch, the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze providing a soothing soundtrack, Amelia turned to Ethan with a soft smile. "Do you remember when we first started this journey?" she asked, her voice tinged with nostalgia. Ethan nodded, his gaze fixed on the distance as he recalled the tumultuous emotions of those early days. "It feels like a lifetime ago," he mused. "I was so lost, so confused, but you were there for me, Mom. You helped me find my way." Amelia reached out, her hand lightly resting on his. "We've both come a long way, Ethan. I'm so proud of the man you're becoming." Their conversation shifted to the future, Ethan's upcoming college plans, and the adventures awaiting him beyond their home. It was a future filled with potential and excitement, but also one that would take him away from the sanctuary he shared with Amelia. In the quiet moments that followed, they both acknowledged the inevitable changes on the horizon. Yet, there was a shared sense of peace in knowing their bond was unbreakable, that the lessons they had learned together would continue to shape their lives, regardless of the miles that might separate them. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in vivid strokes of orange and purple, Amelia and Ethan sat in comfortable silence, each lost in their thoughts. It was in this moment of serene contemplation that they understood. Their journey had been about more than navigating the complexities of their relationship. It had been about growth, healing, and the enduring power of love. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity as Ethan prepared for his departure. They spent their time together engaging in simple pleasures, long walks in the park, movie nights curled up on the couch, and leisurely meals that stretched into hours of conversation. On the eve of his departure, Amelia presented Ethan with a small, elegantly wrapped package. Inside was a silver locket, engraved with a single word: always. "No matter where life takes you, know that you carry a piece of my heart with you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. Ethan held the locket in his hand, the weight of its significance resting gently against his palm. "I'll cherish it, Mom, and I'll carry the lessons you've taught me everywhere I go." The day of Ethan's departure arrived all too soon. The air was heavy with unspoken emotions as they loaded his belongings into the car. Amelia fought back tears, her heart aching with the bittersweet pangs of watching her child embark on a new chapter, independent of her guidance. As they embraced one last time, the tears she had been holding back finally escaped, tracing warm paths down her cheeks. Ethan held her close, his own eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I love you, Mom," he whispered into her hair. "You've given me so much. Now it's time for me to take what I've learned and make my own way." Amelia nodded, her arms tightening around him one final time before she released him. "Go with my love, Ethan. Always remember that no matter where you are or what you do, you will forever be cherished." With a final wave, Ethan climbed into the car and started the engine. As he drove away, Amelia stood in the driveway, watching until the car was nothing more than a speck on the horizon. In the days that followed, the house felt quiet, the echoes of laughter and shared confidences lingering in the air. Amelia busied herself with work and hobbies, all the while feeling the absence of her son's vibrant energy. Yet, as the initial shock of solitude began to fade, Amelia found solace in the knowledge that their journey together had been a profound gift. The intimate exploration of their relationship had not only strengthened their bond, but had also taught them invaluable lessons about trust, vulnerability, and the transformative power of love. She took comfort in the occasional phone calls and text messages from Ethan, each one a reminder that while their lives were now on separate paths, their connection remained as strong as ever. In time, Amelia found herself reflecting on the extraordinary period she and Ethan had navigated together. She was grateful for the courage they had both summoned to face the complexities of their bond, and for the unwavering love that had guided them through the storm. As she looked back on their shared experiences, Amelia realized their relationship had undergone a profound transformation. They had journeyed from a place of confusion and desire to one of mutual respect and understanding. Their love for each other, once tangled in the intricacies of their emotions, had emerged purified and steadfast. And so, life moved forward. Amelia continued to nurture her own growth, embracing new challenges and opportunities for self-discovery. Ethan, too, thrived in his new environment, applying the wisdom he had gained from their intimate journey to build meaningful relationships and pursue his passions.